The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Huff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of bad. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too evil and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
First Week Podcast coming to you. What's today's date, by the way? Oh, yes, March 12th, 2025. It is, we are actually humming through Wrestlemania season right now. This is All Wrestling Podcast today. And of course, joined here. I actually got a special guest today too on the show. But I get this. I'm sorry. There's a new layout here for streaming that I'm getting used to here. So, number one, of course, I got Robert Genius, of course, who's pretty much has residence here on the podcast now. I love it. How you doing, Rob?
Not too bad, man. Can't complain.
Of course, he's 1/3 of Mindless Wrestling Podcast. We typically have 2/3 of Wrestling Podcast, Mindless Wrestling, but actually, we have another member of the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. It's been a while, Jason Howe of the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. Jace, how you doing, brother?
I'm wonderful, E. It's wonderful to be here. I'm glad I asked in because you got some good topics, and it's been a while, man. So good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're in the middle of the WrestleMania build. We still got another 6-ish weeks.
Please, E. It's the road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man. I love this time, the build. Like last year's build was obviously phenomenal. We were worried about whether or not this would be as good, and clearly, so far, so good. The seeds right now of creativity by Mr. One Paul Levesque, Triple H is he's cooking now, brother. He's cooking. Again, we are live here on. Where are we on live on? Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live also on X / whatever Twitter we're gonna call that. If you want to join the chat while we're doing this, you feel free to join the chat and talk with us. We're gonna talk about obviously the return of Roman Reigns on Raw on this past Monday. We'll talk about Bill WrestleMania. We also got a topic about Lex Luger, who will be inducted Hall of Fame finally. And then I want to review actually a list that WWE put out this past weekend, where they revealed their top 30 heel turns all time. Controversial to some. I know definitely with us, we have issues with it because, Rob and I get down. We see lists, we break it down, and we have problems with it. So we'll discuss in a second.
Always.
Yes. But first, fellas, I imagine you guys, at the very least, if not saw Raw on Netflix on Monday, you at least saw the highlights and you know what's going on, right?
We were live.
Yeah, I watched the main event.
Yeah, I mean, the whole show was pretty decent, actually. So let me ask you guys this real quick before we get to the breakdown of what's going on. Do you watch Raw and SmackDown week to week, like the whole show, 2-3 hours, or do you? How do you guys intake the daily, weekly wrestling watching?
Well, for me, it's usually what I'm watching, and then I watch every week. Rather, I watch all the programming we've got. I'm watching Dynamite right now. But I'm not afraid to flip channels if the Celtics are on, if something else is on, if whatever. But yeah, I will try to watch it all. I don't know. I'm a sicko, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, people know this too also. Like I do, the way I watch it now, I don't have the space or the bandwidth rather to watch weekly wrestling. And when I'm saying weekly, I mean watch the entire show. So WWE does a very good job of placing this stuff on YouTube. If you can't watch the entire 2-3 hours, you can still watch a condensed version of it on YouTube. They do like a 15-minute breakdown of each show. And what I do is I watch that, and if I feel like there's more things to unpack on there within the individual feuds or matches, I'll dive into it. I'll dive in. Like, for example, I saw pieces of the CM Punk Seth Rollins match, and I figured, this is a great match. I went back and watched it after. So, but I don't have the bandwidth between basketball, of course, and all things I'm into. Like, it's too much stuff to on a daily basis to keep up with. So I try to at least keep 1 foot in, just watching the content that way. Rob, you the same way too?
Okay, so I always turn it on at the beginning.
Right.
Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, and then I usually get home later on Wednesday. I usually turn on Dynamite when I get home. And like Jason, it's just a matter of I always turn it on, but I don't necessarily stick with it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem. I have the PlayStation here in the basement. So I will switch between the wrestling show that and the PlayStation or something else on TV. Like Jason has the Celtics, I got the Knicks, and so yeah, I just and that's what it is. So it's always there, but I don't hesitate to switch to something else if somebody comes out there that I'm not particularly interested in or what have you.
Right.
But I keep up, but I keep up with everything pretty much. And some stuff, yeah, if something did happen that's worth you back and watching that I missed, I will do that up on YouTube or whatever.
At least with WWE, they recap enough that if you duck out for 15 minutes, you duck out for a half hour, you're going to be just fine.
They do a great job of they do probably the best job, and not just in wrestling, but also of almost any company I've seen in the content business of product placement. You're going to know what's going on. If you can't watch it for 3 hours, they're going to make sure you find out what's going on.
They have their weekly summary is honestly always rolling, and they're just editing it into whatever show they've got.
Right. So honestly, obviously the biggest highlight, of course, of Raw on Monday, we have the big main event, of course, between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, cage match, Madison Square Garden. I mean, you can't ask anything better than that. Of course, the highlight of the whole match was that Roman Reigns comes back. Basically Seth Rollins wins the match by virtue of Roman Reigns dragging his ass out of the ring. Okay, and gave him a Superman punch and then a spear and all that stuff. Roman Reigns. Let me tell you right now, watching that whole thing. I've seen both the videos, like obviously with WWE's programming. I've also seen raw videos of people who has filmed Roman Reigns' entrance to the ring. That New York crowd, I mean, historically, Rob, the New York crowds are extremely honest. If they don't like you, they're gonna let you know. Yeah. That crowd was hot on Monday.
Dude, you could tell on the show. I knew he was coming out. I knew exactly when he was coming out.
Right.
Because they were like 2 inches away from Seth's face in the Zoom, but the crowd was going bonkers.
Yep.
So it's well, obviously, I think I know what's about to happen.
Did you know it was Roman? Did you know right it was Roman coming out?
I was 90% sure. I mean, with Punk and Seth in the ring, I'm like, well, it's going to be Roman.
Yeah. You talk about. Go ahead, Rob. You gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, because there was a point where I thought they might just finish the match themselves, but
yeah,
once they started doing the finisher spamming and kicking out of everything, then it was it became kind of obvious. Okay, well, they're not going to actually finish the match here. They're on their own because they're kicking out of each other's finishers like 8 times, and so
and also, you know what another hint was that someone was going to interfere. Thank you. Was that they kept teasing the door. They're like, hey, you want to walk out? You want to walk out? You want to walk out? Reminding the audience that, hey, this door opens really flipping easily. See, you could walk in if you want to.
If you want to, of course, yes.
So I was like, oh, yeah, somebody's coming in. And my gut told me it was Roman.
Yeah.
What I love about this right now, this build of WrestleMania especially too, and you see with this story as well, I love the open-endedness of everything going on in this whole feud. Not just with obviously Cena turning, he's going to be facing Cody at WrestleMania, but of course the Punk Seth feud. We have where Roman fits in all this stuff. The Rock where he fits all this stuff. There's so many questions that still to be answered, and we're not gonna know for a while, obviously. And I love the fact that this whole thing right now, after watching on Monday night, long-term storytelling in play. Seth Rollins is getting his comeuppance from 11 years ago. Roman owes Seth, an ass whooping from, the Shield breaking up, of course, and whatnot. And then, of course, you see during the time when Roman is beating the shit out of Seth in the middle of the ring, here comes CM Punk, who's obviously disheveled from the match, you see Paul Heyman going inside the ring and consoling him. And of course, if you guys know, Paul Heyman and CM Punk have history. You know, he was an advocate for CM Punk back in 2013, 2014. So yeah, that story to tell now too. Also, I think what Hunter is doing here is cooking. I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't know if Roman is gonna ditch Heyman. Maybe he doesn't ditch Heyman. I don't know where it is, but where it's going right now, I love where we're at right now in this story currently.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, because well, obviously him and he's gonna have words with Paul about just what exactly what you're doing in there with him. And of course, there's the matter of Punk still got the favor to ask for. So, obviously, it's going to end up being. It looks pretty obvious. It's going to end up being a triple threat. So,
is it that obvious though?
Oh yeah, they're not doing.
I
this.
don't know about that. I don't know.
Come on, man. Come on.
Then where does one of them end up?
Roman Reigns in a triple threat match, though. I mean,
because if not, I mean, there's
he did it. How else do you stack, smash, and pin him?
So look, I mean, if you do just Roman versus Seth, then what's Punk going to do? All right,
we may get a triple threat match before WrestleMania. Who knows? The way we're looking at it now, because we thought Seth and Punk was obvious after Elimination Chamber, and they're fighting on Raw. Who knows? Maybe we get that match before WrestleMania. I don't know. Anything's possible.
Roman is not wrestling on TV before WrestleMania. It's not happening.
You sure?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
0.0, Rob. 0.0 shot.
Say again?
0.0% chance that happens.
He wrestled on TV at the beginning of the year. Okay.
That's true. On the debut of Netflix, right?
And I mean it's I mean no, that he's not gonna. I mean, unless he's not gonna wrestle Seth or Punk on TV. I mean, unless he might walk to the ring and murder some jobber or something. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, he's not going to have. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to have a match of any import between now and then. And no, they're going to be fighting. But I mean, I think it's pretty. Yeah, there's going to be a triple threat because if it's a one-on-one match, then whoever gets left out literally has nothing, and you're not going to just have any of those three guys just not be on the show. Okay, I mean,
I think I'm wish casting here because Rob, you already know my disdain for triple threat matches. I don't like it at all. I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy book in my opinion. To be honest with you,
that's you and Jim Cornette. Okay.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm throwing doubt in this thing too also is that we still have 6 weeks of booking, 6 weeks of creative left. And look, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying that given how open everything is right now, it would not shock me that they may resolve at least a portion of this feud before WrestleMania.
I think they're just building towards the triple threat. I mean, they're definitely doing. Seth and Roman has to happen at WrestleMania at this point because, like you were saying, Seth has never Roman's never gotten his pound of flesh for the Shield. It's never happened. Moxley has pinned Seth for a title. Like they had their whole thing, and every time Roman and him have clashed, it leaves you wanting more. So, and obviously with the result of last year at WrestleMania, with Seth's opening the Shield wound again, resulting in Roman losing the title.
Yeah,
like it's just got to happen. At this point, and the only exception to my whole thing of that it's got to be one-on-one is if you bring the guy who brought the Shield into the match and add him like a ton of gasoline that individually he has with those guys, now we're cooking. And I think we're headed straight to a triple threat. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the night one main event.
Oh, you see, it'd be a main event. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. No, I'm not opposed to it. Again, I'm
CM Punk gets his monkey's paw WrestleMania main event. You finally did it, Punker. You finally did it. You get your main event. You are in the main event of WrestleMania night one because you made that crack while you were over there in AEW with the night one of an Electric Boogaloo twofer or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're going to main event night one, and you're going to be on the bottom of the Smash, Stack, and Pin Part 2.
Look, because I don't care what lip service Punk plays about. Well, it's okay. It's not a big deal anymore. That man absolutely wants to main event WrestleMania. Okay.
And he probably should.
Okay, but also, Roman. Look, me and Jason love Roman. He's our favorite guy, but we both know that Roman is going to pull every lever possible to make sure he's in the main event. Okay, on night one. Okay, he is not just going to say, okay, somebody else going to have it this year. I mean, he ain't doing that. Okay, so yeah, they will likely main event night one. Yes, and
he has the record for most main events, right, in WrestleMania history, right?
Yeah, and he wants to keep adding to it, which I don't blame him. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, is it 10 or 11 now? I think is main event.
I think it's 10. I think it's 10 because
that's crazy, isn't it?
Last year counted 2, so
that's true. Yeah, he doubled the number on.
Yeah, because he broke the record on night 1.
Right.
Yeah, and so he wants to keep adding to it. He wants to put that far and away where no one else can get to it. Okay, he absolutely does. He's competitive like that. So, and look, well, put it this way: if it's not a triple threat, the only way it's not a triple threat is if one of them is the special referee. Okay,
right.
All 3 of them are going to be in the ring together. Okay, one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And Punk has never, really crossed Roman, CM Punk started this whole thing against Roman by getting on that podcast however many years ago. Then there's never been a symbolic of kiss the ring kind of thing with that either. And these guys are political like that and want to get theirs. Like those 3 guys especially. And Punk, again, congratulations. You are walking across the one bridge that miraculously rebuilt itself after you burnt it. And all the other bridges are but a distant memory of smoldering ash.
I have to say,
so enjoy. Right. So when we tell you the morning of that you're going to be on the bottom of the Smash, Stack, and Pin, you go, yes, sir. We'll get right out there.
Although I will say, to Punk's defense, I was obviously very cold on him coming to WWE. This has been a good run so far. No,
I have to give him credit. So far so good to be, and the matches have been pretty damn good, to be honest.
Yeah, I got to give it to him. He's been a good citizen. He's been over. I would like to see a CM Punk heel turn at some point, and maybe we get that with this whole Paul Heyman thing. If indeed, I mean, where do you think that goes? Because obviously you teased the Heyman thing. Where do you think that's going to go, guys?
I think maybe the favor is as stupid as it's what gets him in the match with him and Seth.
Yeah. And
maybe it's like we're way overthinking it. Like, oh, maybe he's gonna get Paul Heyman as his advocate and whatnot. It's like even that's stretching it's a favor, guys. He's not gonna be like, well, you have to stab Roman in the back. It's like, no, I'll loan you $10,000. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and I don't think we're getting a Punk heel turn because
he's really over right now too. Also, really over.
I don't think you're not going to get there are some opponents that he yes, when he's in there with Roman and Seth, people will be cheering for them also, and so he won't be getting cheered as much. But they tried turning him heel in 2012, and it did not take. Okay, it really didn't. So it's just I don't think it's not happening. I mean, yeah.
So you're saying that the whole Heyman Punk thing in the ring we saw is nothing more than a smokescreen?
No, I think Jason's right. I think we're overthinking. I think he's going to go to Paul to get him in the match some kind of way, and that's it. Either that, it's either that, or it's either to get him in the match, or sometime later on this year he's going to get Heyman to get him a title shot at Cena once Cena's champ.
So what we're saying here then, really, basically, the next 5 weeks, basically Roman Reigns will not be involved in the title picture, at least for the time being.
Well, no, well they're holding it off as long as you can, because once you put him in it, put him in a title match,
he's in. Yeah,
I mean,
you got to commit.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, because I think if I'm him at this point after that run he had, either I'm going to hold the belt or I'm not. I'm not going to, I don't want, if I'm him, I'm not interested in some title shot where he doesn't win, where I don't win. Um, so, if you want me to hold the belt again, then put me in the match and give me the belt. If you don't want me though, if you, don't want me holding the belt, then give me some other stuff to do. I think that's where he is right now. I don't think he's interested in title shots where he doesn't win. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? I was watching the obviously him come out and seeing the crowd reaction to him, and I had watched WWE is doing all their rankings and stuff. They're doing like the top 50 WrestleMania matches of all time. That they're at 37 right now currently, and I watched a couple of the ones they had in the 40s. And I know one match was the Brock and Roman match from Mania 31, the Heist, and watching the crowd who did not take to Roman at the time. And didn't take the Roman for the whole run until obviously the heel turn in 2020. And then watching him now, I was like, damn. Like, it's like you look at Roman today, you can't go back to that Roman ever again. It really can't. It doesn't work anymore. Because the Roman you have now that you have for the last 5 years, even right now being a quote-unquote babyface, is still better than what he was doing as the big dog before 2020. And you can't go back to that. Like, to me, that thing is so foreign now to me. I can't. I look at it, it's like, wow, that doesn't.
It's what I've said about this dude for years and years and years. Even before the heel turn, I was like, he's never gonna be Superman, despite the move. He's see John Cena, Hulk Hogan. They were Superman.
Correct.
This guy's got to be Batman, and that's what he is right now. Like with this pseudo babyface run.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So I think he's a babyface now in that I don't think he's going to be cheating to win matches, and I don't.
He's a protagonist.
Well, no, I think he's a babyface in terms of tactics. He's not cheating, and he's not jumping people, unless it's retaliation for something.
Right.
And those are like the subtle differences. Those are the things that people miss when they're talking about somebody's a babyface or a heel. It's not what you say during promos. It's not even your demeanor or whatever. It's how it's your actions, right? Do you win fair and square? Do you cheat? Do you attack people for no reason? And he's not doing
this Roman will cheat as much as his opponents do.
Yeah, I mean, if you slide the chair in the ring and try to use it, and he gets the drop on you, then he
will use it. Yeah,
but he's not going to go out there and get it first.
Exactly.
Right.
But I mean, there are some baby faces who would be like, "No, I'm kicking the chair out of the ring." Roman's like, "Okay, you asked for it."
I mean, and I guess
he ain't doing that. No, yeah, I agree.
I mean, look, I grew up on Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes absolutely would use the chair if you brought it in.
Well, fair.
Okay,
but someone Hogan though.
Yeah,
someone babyface Hogan too.
All right, fair enough.
Well, it's lost in a lot of modern day fans because a lot of modern day fans, they think if you talk with some bass in your voice that you're turning heel.
That's true. That's true.
Soft. Right. I mean, it's just no, it's but again, I grew up, when people like Dusty and Hogan and Jerry Lawler and the Road Warriors when they were baby faces, and it all came down to how they won matches and how and when they attacked people and stuff like that.
Another story I'm really intrigued by now, especially, and it's funny because I haven't really been watching in detail until like the last couple of weeks. The whole trilogy between Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill. Now, Naomi admits that she's the one that attacked Jade, and Jade beat her up recently again. Was on SmackDown.
Yeah,
beat her up on SmackDown again. You see a back and forth now on X, on Twitter now, between the three parties now. I mean, that's another story that's really intriguing, and another story that's open ended. Right now, like, are we getting Jade Naomi at Mania? Are we getting?
I think so, and again, I think we don't overthink it. Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be. That's going to be the match. They're going to fight each other. And I think the only kind of extra thing that might get added is, Naomi's going to get some help to beat her, and it's just a matter of who it is. And I think right now, the popular pick right now is the two ladies from NXT, who, Lash and Jakara. They're because they've already had matches on the main roster. They've already interacted with all those girls. It'd be a very easy plug in. Because right now, it's the way things look. I mean, it looks right now like Naomi cannot beat up Jade, and it looks like she doesn't have any chance of actually beating Jade straight up. So, and I would think if you're going to do this match at WrestleMania, then I mean, if this is going to be a feud, then I mean, Naomi should win the first match, and right now it looks like she can't beat Jade by herself. So I think you get her some help, and you know, it's pretty simple and easy to do. I think if they do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they're building towards too. Yeah, because certainly, you know, Jade, with how Naomi jumped Jade, obviously we know that Naomi does not have confidence that she can win straight up. So I think I agree with, unfortunately, to make very poor radio, I agree with my co-host that, you know, that she's going to have some sort of help and some sort of backup. It's not just going to be she, you know, does some stupid roll up or does breaks out a Billy Club or something. She's going to have backup to take down Jade. So. And Jade should get that kind of treatment. Like Jade should get it takes multiple people to take her down. Because we're still kind of building the aura of Jade Cargill. So, yeah, absolutely.
Are we out on a possible Bianca heel turn?
Yes.
Even now with this whole thing?
Yes. Give it up.
Yes.
Give it up.
Because I've just seen a turn on Twitter.
Give it up, dude.
Give it up.
Wait, you can't say that, Rob, because we all said about Cena.
20 years.
But listen,
John Cena the year of his retirement.
No, I agree, but John Cena is the protocol here, and this is not VKM booking. This is Triple H booking now. You got Vic and else too. You know.
No.
Well then, okay. Well, but Vince is the guy who was known for the hot shot booking. So if Hunter did that now, then that would be him hot shot booking.
Fair point. So we're out on the Bianca heel turn. We're out on that.
Yes.
No shot.
Don't mess with the golden goose, baby.
Jane Cena.
Cena. Sorry, buddy.
Jane Cena.
That's it, man. She is.
So then Bianca. I mean, obviously Bianca's face. Well, no, Bianca's facing EO obviously right now, and that's another angle too. Also, so we got to swerve there as well too. Like we'll assume that Rio beat EO on Raw right next night, and then that did not happen. Now there's some rumors. I don't know if this is true or not, but there's been some dirt sheet crap out there that apparently Rhea may not even wrestle at WrestleMania for other reasons outside of obviously TV. You guys heard anything about that?
No, I haven't heard.
I have not heard that. No,
I've not heard anything. There's some rumor that she has like an injury or something. Or
I don't know. No, I didn't hear anything about injury. I just heard that there's a possibility that she may not be wrestling at Mania, and I think that's the reason they made the turn to EO. But at the same time, people are now saying that with that whole back and forth on Monday, where Rhea and Bianca go at it, obviously they're pushing EO to the side, and EO felt disrespected, of course, and she's a champion. Yeah. I love the back and forth. I thought it was great.
And EO was awesome during that, with her finally freaking out at the end, like, "Hey, I'm the one with the belt. I'm the champion. Like you guys should be talking to me." Like, and then they're just leaving. That was awesome.
Is that going to triple that too, also, guys?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, if that stuff you're hearing about Rhea if it's not true, unless that stuff you're hearing is true, then yes, because otherwise.
Yeah, and I would tell you Monday night would indicate they're going that way.
Then what was the point of them getting the belt off of Rhea then? I don't see the point of that.
Yeah, there's no point of doing that if she's not.
Maybe EO's going to retain.
Maybe.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't rule it out. Triple H booking. He's cooking right now, brother. He's cooking.
He is. So
honestly, I mean, you don't. The reason you do a triple threat in a title match that way, so you can have some type of wacky ending.
Right.
That's kind of fair though to EO if she earned their title the way you should, won the title fairly on Raw, and then all of a sudden Rhea, and I love Rhea. I'm not even saying I don't want her to see in the main event or even in a title match, but to have her just be inserted in the triple threat just cause whatever. I mean, that to me that kind of makes no sense.
Well, that's the $1 million question is how we're going to get there.
There's just a stipulation that if she wins a match against Nia Jax or something, that she gets a title shot or something. I don't know.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's because now, I mean, they don't have the evil authority figure to just do it, which
Right.
which they would have done before, which they did before, and I'm not going to get into all that because that brought a bunch of.
I kind of miss those days though, having old authority figure people that influences things, like Vince used to do back in the day, and then Stephanie and Triple H. I kind of miss that.
Because Triple H loves people cheering his name too much when he walks out there.
Yeah.
True.
He absolutely does not. He absolutely does not. Vince loved the heat, and he loved going out there and taking it. Okay.
Vince loved the heat, brother.
Yeah. No.
The more the merrier.
Hunter is in love with people loving him, and he is never going to be Mr. McMahon on television.
No, true. How would you book it then? Would you how would you insert Rhea in a title match if you're going to go triple threat? Which it seems kind of obvious based on what Monday looked like, but again, nothing is as it seems sometimes with this in this era of booking.
I don't know, because the only thing I can think of is like, okay, I mean, it would have to involve like EO being stupid babyface and saying, okay, you can be in it too, because
that'll be that's three faces at that point, right? Three faces, right?
Well, you do that. Yes, you do have three. Yes, you do. But
right.
And that's going to be, I mean, to me, look, I always say like the best feuds, the best stories are good versus evil.
Of course, yeah.
You can occasionally, like you can occasionally do, Hogan versus Warrior, occasionally, but you can't make a habit out of that. We'll have to see how because you have to find some way to do it without making either Bianca or Io look like stupid baby faces, and without it being just some. And again, because you don't have a Mr. Man type of person to just do it, and then it's I don't know. We'll see.
I feel like this might be an attempt to get Io over even more, maybe.
Well, maybe because it's just it might be we'll all see what happens, because in the next 6 weeks, whether I think it's either that or they're trying to do some like character development type stuff for Rhea. I think this match is going to be it's for one of them.
You see, this is why also I think you can't rule out a Bianca heel turn, because with all this here with the three, I'm not saying it's going to happen, nor did I say I wanted it to happen, but you have this situation here with the three baby faces in this potential match. You have the situation now with her, Naomi, and Jade. You can't rule it out. You can't rule it out. I'm just saying you can't rule it out. Am I wrong, Jason?
I agree. Again, very poor radio. She's Jane Cena, man. She is going to be a baby face until the very bitter end.
I mean, I think look when she's because like, are you going to commit? Like, is she going to stop skipping to the ring and she's going to cut the braid off? She's going to start not wear sparkly clothes? She's going to not do 450 splash? Is she going to do all of that to commit?
I mean, the only thing you have to use as a way to lean on, example is what she did in NXT. Now, granted, it was very short lived, but she was a heel. When I first started watching NXT, and when I first saw Bianca Belair, the first time I ever saw her, she was a heel.
She was a black woman with attitude.
Okay, you can still use that.
Yeah. I mean, do we really want that? I know a lot of people were like, "Yeah, turn her heel." That's all it was. Okay.
But that'll be Jade first before her anyway. To be honest with you, Jade would want to have that role before Bianca, probably. But then again, who knows?
Obviously, I'm the least experienced to say this, but like it's a better fit for Jade. Yeah, that character.
I agree with 100%. I totally agree with you.
Put it that way.
Because Jade is kind of aloof. She has an aloofness to her.
Yeah, Jade's a Terminator.
She's not bubbly and all of that. She's not warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, when we've seen this beyond, and that's also in NXT. the greater world had not seen that side of Bianca Belair when she was that heel. So, like, now to do that, people are just gonna be like, I don't know.
And again, if you're not going to commit,
Right, like start wearing suits. Don't wear like fancy stuff that you made. Like start wearing suits. Don't be all sparkly and like stand out every 2 feet. You got to mute things and no, that's not her. Like, and why right now?
Yeah,
like she's a meteor. Keep her going.
and because you're only doing that for the 35 and older crowd.
yeah.
That's what you're
Right.
doing.
So I'm assuming that if they do turn her heel,
Good show.
you're gonna be mad, aren't you?
Well, I think it's dumb. Because it's rare that you have somebody that you can having just somebody who you can just straight up book have as a babyface and book like a babyface all the time, and people actually accept them. It's very rare now. So if you have one, you should stick with it.
And she hasn't really changed the formula that much, and people are still all the way in.
Yeah, and she's one of the people who was directly for the kids. Like there aren't, there are a lot of people who kids like because how they look or whatever, or they're cool or do, but she really is for the kids, and you don't do that for you don't change that for us,
Right?
Okay, because that's what it's for. It's for us, the 35 and older crowd, who don't want to see people be the superhero or those
Want every single thing to be the soap opera. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes the good guy just beats the bad guy, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's exactly. So I don't think it would be a good idea. Well, just because then who's going to be her now? Who's going to fill that spot?
Right, that's true.
Who's Supergirl?
Who's going to be her if you turn her?
Or Wonder Woman, or whatever you want to call it. Because right now it's her. Bianca is QB1.
Yeah, and Jade is not that. Again, so no, you can't swap Jade.
It's same deal as Roman. She at best she's Batwoman, and that's not the QB1 like superhero babyface.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point, actually. I don't want him to turn heel either, but at the same time, I'm just not ruling it out because of everything we've seen, especially in the last couple of weeks, obviously as a reference point.
I grant you, in the story, it would make sense. Yes, that does make perfect sense. So.
One more thing I'm going to get to in late to WrestleMania, and it's referring to Raw from last week, not this past week, but the one before. Obviously Jey Uso and Gunther are going to be one of the title matches for WrestleMania night 1, night 2. Who knows? Look, to me, it's always been a foregone conclusion that Gunther is going to win that match. But after watching that whole thing happen last week on Raw, a week and a half ago, I'm starting to buy an idea that Jey may actually beat Gunther. What do you guys think?
I think
oh man, we're gonna be uninteresting again because I think we agree. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, because all right, if I'm assuming Cena is going to win, because there's no point doing all this if he doesn't win.
Yeah.
So we're going to end night 2 with heel prevailing.
Did last year.
And and
you've done it so many years in a row.
Yeah, and you're going to so you gotta give a happy moment because the Rhea Io Bianca thing isn't really going to be a happy moment. It's going to be a great match, but it's not going to be like whoever wins. I don't think it's going to be like a happy feel good moment. So you got to give something. You got to give a happy feel good moment in one of the big matches, and I think that's. And with Seth, Punk, and Roman, that's not going to be a happy feel good thing either. Because they're going to beat the hell out of each other, and somebody's going to be standing, right?
Right.
So in all the big matches, your one big match where you can actually get a happy feel good ending is JB and Gunther. So I think he is.
Yeah.
Jay again. He's for the kids too. And, with the heels stuff that's probably going to happen at WrestleMania, you got to give some stuff to the kids. So, and it's the easiest decision in the world. Like, it's It's a paint by numbers. The good guy slays the dragon at the castle gates. In the main event of WrestleMania. Book it, kids.
Well, I don't think I'll main event any nights. I think that'll be the Kofi.
Well, okay, yeah.
I think obviously we're all agreeing here that if we see the Roman Seth, whatever trip that match, that'll be a night one main event, and night two will be obviously Cena against Cody.
Sure, but my point is Jay's story ends winning the title at WrestleMania. That's just how this is supposed to end. So let's do it.
Obviously, longer form story because of what Jay has been doing for the last 5 years. Getting back to the bloodline, to start the bloodline story, but this is definitely Kofi and Daniel Bryan all over again. The feeling I'm getting.
It's definitely that kind of like run up the mountain kind of deal. I feel that.
I mean, that one's a little more swifty because it was done in a few months, but this one definitely is a 4 to 5 year buildup. Like we saw Jay headline a pay-per-view with Roman Reigns, early on in 2020, and he held his own, and he's done it many times over. Done headline pay-per-views, and he's held his own. So he's obviously earned a spot, and now he's way over on top of the crowd. So I mean, look, Gunther is the ring general. He's my guy, and they had a great match on Sunday main event back in January. I'm like, great match, but no way in hell he could be Gunther. After what I saw on Monday, 2 Mondays ago, I'm actually convinced now that Jay's winning this match.
If the Eat thing stays hot through WrestleMania, but just book it.
Oh yeah. Well, question.
And I have no reason to believe it won't. But I think wrestling fans are fickle. So I'm just who knows? We never truly can predict these things. But if I was betting, obviously, I think he's just going to be fine. Landless playing at WrestleMania, baby.
Yeah, I can only see Jay win the match and win the title, and then losing within 2-3 months.
Right.
Yeah, I think because I don't think he's a long-term
world
champion. But I think you want the visual of the 50,000 people yeeting after he wins. You want that.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's about moments. It's about moments.
Yeah, so that's what you want. You want that. You want that visual. Anytime,
especially that now you've kind of co-opted in a way the NOI bloodline, as in terms of like advertising and stuff like that. So add a memory to that scrapbook too.
Yeah. So because anytime they get a chance for like the frame on the wall picture,
they're gonna take it.
Take it. Okay.
They're gonna take it. Yeah, absolutely. John Cena, we're still in what now, 13 days or 12 days, how long since that infamous heel turn on Elimination Chamber. He's supposed to appear on Raw this coming Raw in Brussels. I gotta tell you, one of the things I love about this storyline, especially to now, is I love the fact that he does the turn. He does the turn on the pay-per-view. He does the mic drop at a press conference. You hear nothing for days upon days upon days. They're not making Cena go to TV immediately to address anybody. Letting the shit cook. Bro. Because the internet, even today, like 10 days later, 11 days later, is still talking about this shit. That's what happened last night. They're making comparisons about, better heel turns, and we'll get to that in a second. Obviously, that's on the back end of the show. But I love the fact that and obviously obligations he had, with movies and stuff, but even so, I love they're making us wait 2 weeks before we hear a response. To me, that is old school booking. That is letting people, feel thirsty and wait. Let people wait a little bit. Genius booking here by Hunter. I'm glad he's waiting 2 weeks before he could address the Cena Nation why he did what he did. So I love it. I love it. So far, everything they're doing this thing so far.
Yeah, there are a lot of things you let simmer.
Yes, let it cook. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, this one you let it simmer for a while.
Absolutely. Rob, go ahead.
And timing is everything, and it's best that they waited this long to do it, because I think I said this. I forgot where I said this, but if they turning him heel in 2012 and him attacking like Sheamus or somebody, which is what a lot of people wanted. A lot of people wanted a gratuitous heel turn because they were tired of him being the superhero. Right. And I'm sorry, there was no circumstance or situation that
Well, do you know
would have.
why? Because they never had the next him.
Well, they did. Yeah, they
Like
didn't
they
tell it.
never had the baby face to do the heel turn on because like that's the only way it really would have landed, and that Cody is him.
And I mean, I think the only person they could have done it with Daniel Bryan, but
Maybe, yeah.
maybe. And that's I think that's really the only person they could have done that with.
You mean with Cena? You mean?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I can see that.
no, I mean, because no, I mean, he wouldn't have got that heat for turning on Sheamus or or Rush.
Randy or like like who like Edge? I don't know.
Yeah, there's nobody he could have gotten that heat on for turning on other than maybe Daniel Bryan.
Right.
That's it. Or I mean, nobody else. I mean, just yeah, it wouldn't. But I mean, a lot of people they were yelling for it for all these years, and if they had gotten it, it would have come and gone, and he would have turned back, and then it would have just been another blip in the radar, whatever. It wouldn't have had the same impact that this had.
Now he's probably going to win title 17 as a heel.
I was just going to ask you that too, Jason. Seeing where we're at now, Rob and I already spoke about this, like I mean, multiple podcasts in the last couple of weeks. With Cena. Where do you see this going with Cena? Because I was under the impression initially that he was done after WrestleMania, but in fact he's going through the rest of the year.
Yeah, he goes to the end of the year. He has a trilogy with Cody. Cody wins it back, so that Cena can turn babyface again by the time he gets to his real farewell tour in December.
Now, a lot of folks have told me that they think Cena will turn back face again before this whole run's over. You agree with that?
Oh yeah, you got to. He can't go out like. Yeah, he can't. No, he can't go out bad. I mean, you got.
Yeah, he turns babyface by the end of the year.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, I mean,
the best way to do it too is to have him and Randy Orton double turn and have that be the last feud he does, because obviously there's history there.
Well, because basically Rock something has to happen where Rock gets pissed off at him, and has somebody attack him or whatever, and then that's how you talk.
Right. So so like you're saying that he'll still heal, he'll win the title, he'll have a very short run with the title, lose the title at between SummerSlam and December, he'll turn back to face, and however they do that whole thing. I mean, is there a possibility we get Cena here longer than a year? Is it possible that we get Cena through 26?
No.
I think
he said he's done.
Yeah.
I think he was very deliberate about that.
I mean,
because I think that was assigned to his other pursuits in life. He was also letting them know, like, hey, my schedule is going to be very clear after this year.
Right. All right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe again, I like to wishful think here, so who knows? But
sure.
I mean, like I said, everything they've done so far with this as is has been perfection. Let it cook a couple weeks. Address the nation 16 days later, and that's just that. And we'll see how WrestleMania goes. But yeah, I do think also he'll win 17 at Mania. I think that is definitely going to happen. All right, so let's get to some news also here. Outside of what's going on in the WWE universe, we heard news a week ago that Lex Luger finally will be inducted to the Rock Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame, this year.
That'd be cool.
Alongside Triple H, and I think Michelle McCool also is a part of this class. Lex Luger, about damn time, man. What took y'all so long?
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna say? I mean, he's formative to my years because I came into wrestling during the Nitro, like NWO, and a little bit before the NWO. So yeah, Lex Luger is one of my guys because he's Sting's best friend, so he's therefore was me as a little kid. He was my best friend. But anyway, yeah, I mean, can't think of a more deserving guy, and glad he's finally getting done.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, he had a bad rap for many years because when the work rate nerds took over pro wrestling discourse, people like him, suffered because he was a body guy, and no, he was not some technical wizard in the ring, but if when another thing was he was a WCW man, he was an NWA WCW man. That was all of his best work was there, and if you only watched him in WWE, then you only saw the Lex Express and all of that stuff, and so I think that kind of hurt him too. That people who only saw him in WWE only saw that. And that was just an ill-suited role for him because he's not captain. Vince wanted him to be Hogan, basically. He's not. He was never. His personality was never Hogan or Captain America. It's very similar to Jade and Bianca. Like Luger and Sting is very similar to Jade and Bianca. Okay, as far as who does what, and so it was like Jade cannot be Bianca. Luger could not be Sting or Hulk Hogan. And it was just bad. It was bad casting having him be that, trying to do that with him, and so I think that kind of hurt his, reputation also. But if you watched him in the NWA, if you watched him in WCW, you saw how over he was, and how, again, no, he was not a technical master, but that guy did 30-minute matches with Ric Flair, and he held up his end. He was not carried for 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
He had matches with people like Sting and with Ricky Steamboat, and again, those guys did not carry him. Okay, he held up his end in those matches. All right, and he main evented a couple of Starcades. For those who aren't familiar, Starcade was, WCW Wrestlemania. He main evented a couple of those. He was world champion several times. He beat Hulk Hogan clean in the middle of the ring.
Oh yeah,
win the WCW World Title.
One of the biggest moments in WCW history, actually.
Yes, and so and then unfortunately, there's some kind of off the field stuff, and he's admitted to, he had, he was, in a bad place for a long time, and he had some, substance abuse things going on, and then some people, fault him for Miss Elizabeth's passing, and and he's even admitted that that his bad habits kind of drug her into bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there are people who blame him directly as if he killed her. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that also has kind of gotten in, put a damper on him. But again, he fully admits, his culpability and her condition taking a turn for the dead. He fully admits to that. He doesn't, say otherwise. He doesn't.
He's a born-again Christian. He's been a born-again Christian for about 20 years now. Yeah,
and he has legit turned his life around.
Yeah.
So
he looks happy, even though he's obviously in this condition. He looks very happy and very content with life. He's a 2-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, a 1-time WWA World Heavyweight Champion, a 5-time NWA US Champion as well. He is the 2nd WCW Triple Crown Champion as well too. Also appeared in many title matches in WWE. Most notably, of course, the little Yokozuna, not say tournament, but was the match between him and Yokozuna and WrestleMania 10. All that stuff, man. He's had some good moments, man. He's obviously one of the guys that probably could have done more, honestly. But look at his career. He's definitely one of the greats, man. He's definitely one of the guys, the pillars of guys like in the era of the 80s and 90s. We look at guys that stand out in even WCW. He's one of those guys. If I say name 10, 15 guys in WCW, he's one of 10, 15 guys you're gonna name off the rip.
Look, I mean, Brutus Beefcake's in the Hall of
Fame. Brutus, no. Hold on, Rob. No. Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake is in the Hall of Fame.
Brutus, who held no titles, who did not main event any major pay-per-views.
Well, when you bring up the politics of it, for certain people might think he did this, did that, blah, blah, blah. You have to think that, well, the Hall of Fame is made up, and it's basically one guy saying who's going to be in charge. And it was one guy for a very, very long time. He had a certain group of people in his ear. Now it's another guy, and he has a whole different group, advising him and talking to him and, saying maybe there's some wrongs that need to be righted here.
Yeah.
Can I argue that Luger is big enough to headline one also? Or no.
Well, and maybe
fringe.
I wouldn't.
Well, and also, I mean, with him getting inducted, we'll probably see Sting there. 'Cause I think he said he wants Sting and DDP to induct him. So
yeah, he did say
it has to be those guys. Sting, of course, his best friend, and DDP, of course, is helping him with health through the years.
Yeah, and
those guys.
And then I mean, well, Nikita Koloff, he'll be there because Nikita's one of his best friends now too. So
let me ask you guys a question real quick. Which guys are left to headline? Because it seems like a lot of the guys left to headline are guys that are probably either Ruthless Aggression era guys, maybe one Attitude era guy in The Rock, but I don't see many other like old school guys that are headliners at this point now. I think going forward from this point on, headliners wise, you're seeing guys from the Ruthless Aggression era and beyond. Who do you see on next to get to headline Hall of Fame?
There's probably not many left. I don't know, Rob.
probably gotta wait till Randy.
So you have Orton obviously is on the board. Cena, of course, be on the board. The Rock's on the board. Anybody from Attitude era that's on the board hasn't gotten in yet. I can't think of anybody honestly hasn't gotten in as a headliner.
Well, Big Show belongs in there, but he won't be. That won't happen until he comes home.
Right? And is he a headliner though? Is the question.
No, he's not a headliner.
No, not at all. No. Kane should headline his year, honestly.
Well, but he's already in.
No, but he should have headlined it. That's what I'm saying.
Kurt Angle's already in there.
Yeah.
When Jericho finally comes home, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's next headliner. Yeah, I agree with that one.
When he finally comes home,
Edge, obviously Edge.
Well, he's in already.
Edge in.
Oh, he's already in. Edge already in.
Yeah.
Yeah, after because remember he had to retire, dude.
Right. Yeah. You're right. No, I forgot he was in though.
So he's already in. Booker's already in.
Yeah. Look at the headliners. So at this point now, we're looking at a nice run of like a couple of years. You can do Cena, Rock, Orton, but he's still wrestling currently right now.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, obviously, there's another one that can headline a year. There wasn't really many guys. You may have a 4 or 5 year run of doing this if we have a problem. I mean, then you have to go into the PG era guys, and how many guys there you can really headline there. Then you get into the current day. I mean, that's when the Romans into play and Seth and a couple of those guys. There's not much guys really to divvy from to headline. I mean, you can still do Demolition. That's on the board. Rob.
Yeah. Okay, listen. Okay.
They deserve a headline spot. I'm sorry. They won't get it though, but
Listen to headline.
Dude, they were the most dominant tag team for like a good 3, 4, 5 years.
That's because he couldn't sign Hawk and Animal.
Yeah, but it only held the fort down, brother.
I mean, come on.
Here comes the axe. Here's the smasher.
And look what happened as soon as we talked about this before. As soon as he signed Hawk and Animal, look what happened to Demolition. Okay, they got taken out back like Old Yeller. Okay,
that's true. No, you're right. No, I'm not saying that better than LOD and / Road Warriors. I'm just saying that they did their job. Given they understood the assignment for 3 years, they were booked as the dominant force in that division.
And yeah, I mean, because I think guys, I mean, we got to wait for Randy. We got to wait for Jericho to come home. As far as people who headline, did Batista get in?
Yes, he got in. He got in too.
Yeah, he's in.
Oh, because that was during the COVID year. Okay. I mean, Trish and Lita were in there already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the females left. Yeah.
Trish and Lita are already in. Beth Phoenix is in there.
Your girl Charlotte at some point when she
Yeah,
headliner,
but that's a but her and Becky and that's a ways off.
Bailey's probably headliner too. Also, I would say.
Yeah, and they might. I mean, when Mercedes finally comes home, they'll induct the Horsewomen as a group probably.
Yeah.
And then I mean, when Moxley finally comes home, they'll induct the Shield will get inducted as a group also. I mean,
yeah, the Shield definitely should get.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're going to be double, because they're going to.
A question. You can use that as a headliner too. Also, the Shield, honestly. So there's definitely stuff to work with there.
And look, you know what? I wouldn't call them as a headliner, but in one of these years,
I wouldn't hate it.
If you make him the headliner, he'll kill it on that speech.
Well, question. I would hate it. I would not hate it. I would not hate it. I'm telling you right now, I would not hate it. He's not a headliner in my eyes because he's a mid-carder, but I would not hate it. Given what he's done to the company for 20 years, I would not hate it.
And look, he made him in WrestleMania and he went over. So
yes.
You can't. I mean, that's nothing to shake us. I mean, that's nothing to frown on there.
That's what I'm saying. They booked this shit. We follow along, right? So.
And then. Bobby Lashley will get in when he comes home eventually. Or even if he retires in AEW, he'll come back and get inducted.
I don't think a headline though.
Yeah. The New Day, but then they'll get inducted as a group and they'll probably get in as individuals. They could, I mean, as a group, definitely. They can
headline too, also. So
as a group, for sure. I mean, so we got away, and then, I mean, Jimmy and Jay are going to get double inducted also now. I mean, but that's a ways off. I mean, we're talking years down the line. But so, I mean, yes, it's going to be. I mean, the next few years, it's going to be probably a little slim pickings for the next few years after this.
Well, I think what they'll do probably, if not next year, the year after, they'll probably induct Cena.
Yeah. I mean, assuming that this is it,
and then the Rock, and you have to at some point you have to exhaust the Rock.
Yeah.
So, all right, last topic, get you out of here, guys. WWE just recently did their top 30 heel turns on the heels of John Cena doing his big heel turn. So, look, let's be clear about this. I think we all agree that this whole thing they did here was more of a promotional tool.
Yes.
Okay. Let's think about that. This is not, because if you're a real wrestling fan, and look, I have no issues with the list of the feuds here and what they mentioned, but the order is so messed. No, two things: the order is messed up. Number one, and number two, there's so much recency bias here. Yeah, they threw you a little bit of a cookie for a couple old school ones, for example, like Ric Flair double crossing Sting, for example. Bob Backlund stamping on Bret Hart. Mega Powers, obviously you can't turn that down because it's history of that. But a lot of this is so recent, like within 20 years, dude. Like, what are we doing here, man?
Well, and also, I'd like to know the criteria because Roman turning heel wasn't on there.
And that was a shock.
So, and when you look at the list, I do believe it was hey, this person turned on this person, beat the crap out of them, and that was the heel turn. And so there was never that one moment for Roman. It kind of people just was like, wow, is he a heel? Yep, I think he's a heel. Yep, I think he's a heel. Wow, he's a heel. He's a heel. Okay. And that's just kind of how it went. So I think this was like an impact moment kind of thing. But yeah, and so to me, it was kind of all over the place to begin with. But you nailed it, E. It was a promotional tool. Like, hey, check out these clips.
Because I can make the argument right now, like based on shock value. I can make the argument that Roman's is actually more shocking than Cena's.
Yeah, I get, especially. I mean, especially seeing what Roman's became. Like, he became a mafia warlord. Like that was ridiculous. Like if Cena ends up just being Rock's Terminator, okay, well. It should be very, very high on the list. Probably I think it's Hogan, Cena, Roman in some order. First of all, so but the list was kind of all over the place. It was promotional though. Look at these clips.
Yeah. First, go ahead.
And then, I mean, they have Ric Flair double crossing Sting. That was in like a tag team match.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna do Ric Flair turning on somebody, as well, if you're gonna do it on, if you're gonna put it on this list, when he and Ole and Arn turned on Dusty, that was a much bigger deal because at that point, Rick had been working babyface against Nikita Koloff because Nikita was doing the evil Russian, Ivan Drago kind of thing, and so Rick was kind of a de facto babyface, and him and Dusty even started helping each other out, and so Nikita and Ivan and Crusher Crucible are beating the crap out of Rick inside of the cage. Dusty comes in to help them out because they have an understanding now, and they run off the Russians. But then Arn and Ole come in the ring, and then they look at Rick like, "Really? What we gonna do?" And then they all start beating the crap out of Dusty, and put it this way, there was so much heat. Fans were trying to climb in the cage. Okay. And like as a shoot, and then some of the wrestlers were trying to get the fans off. And Arn told the story like they just started swinging at people because they didn't know who was who, and they just started swinging at folks so they could get out of there. Okay, because at that point they didn't know who was friendly and who wasn't. And
it used to be better.
Okay, that's how much heat that. And then that was 1985. They basically got 2-3 years of feuding off of that between, and then Tully would eventually join up with him, and then that's where the Four Horsemen was born out of all of that. That's much bigger than Rick turning on Sting in some tag team match. Okay, if you're gonna do Ric Flair turning on somebody as on this list, then the turn on Dusty is the one to do.
Yeah, Dominic on Edge number 5 is way too freaking high. Like,
again, that's recency because
number 6 too. Also, the New Day turning on Big E, like that's ridiculous. I mean, that is not bigger than the Mega Powers. That is not bigger than Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. Paul Bearer between the Undertaker is bigger than half the top of the list. It should be higher than that. That's a big dude. Paul Bearer, turning on Undertaker in SummerSlam '96. That was huge.
Yeah. And now the Becky turning on Charlotte was funny because both of them, like, everybody knew that was a bad idea. Everybody except the people in charge knew that wasn't going to go the way that they intended it to. Even Becky and Charlotte both even told them. They've even talked about it, how they told the creative people, like, look, this isn't going to go how you think it is, okay?
Yeah.
And and they didn't, and whether it was Vince or whoever, or Bruce Pritchard or whoever, just they didn't listen. Okay.
I was surprised they actually put the Tatanka at number 28. Tatanka's
that's another one. Like, who cares?
On DiBiase.
Like, who cares? Tatanka, I mean, really? I mean,
yeah. I mean, they threw you a bone here and there, but the fact that you don't have Roman on this list at all is ridiculous. And by the way, my biggest gripe, of course, is number 1. Not saying Cena shouldn't be top 2 or 3, but nothing is beating Hogan in the NWO. Nothing is. Again, nobody in this list had trash thrown them in the middle of the ring after it happened.
Yeah.
End discussion. That right there ends the argument. No one had actual trash thrown at them as a result. Okay? That ends the argument. That ends the war.
And that was a shoot. That wasn't like, because after a while it became a habit, Yeah. But that first time, that was a shoot. Those people were shoot mad at what had transpired. Okay.
Well, I mean, it loops back to my other thing. Cena and Roman are. I mean, when I say Hogan, Cena, Roman, Roman is probably number 3 because Roman was never Superman. They tried, and in my heart he was, but he was never that guy. So it's different when those guys, turn heel.
The reason the Roman thing hit good, the reason why I say you can consider it being better than Cena's, is that when Roman turned, Roman was gone for like 5 or 6 months because of COVID. So Roman was forgotten, right? Roman wasn't even on anyone's radar whatsoever when that happened.
Yeah.
That's
and
why.
because they have closed sets in the Thunderdome or whatever, they were able to keep it a secret.
Made obvious. Yeah, made even more of a secret. So they've actually been able to do that out of nowhere. Because no one had that. Like with Cena, you can look, obviously it's still a shock there, and obviously I'm not saying it's not. But people when people like on their podcast talking about the whole thing with Cena in the chamber, people have speculated, could Cena turn heel this time? And we say, no, probably not, but people were at least considering it. You know what I'm saying? With Roman, he was off the radar for 6 months. With Hogan, he was off the radar for a couple months also too, also on top of that back then.
Yeah, and
you know,
I think the Rollins one is underrated because
the Shield.
Well, because nobody had him being the one to turn.
You thought it'd be Moxley?
Right. It was going to be Moxley.
Everybody thought it was Dean or Roman. Everybody thought it was either going to be Dean or Roman. Nobody had him being the one to do it because he was always the one to calm them down and get everybody back on the same page. So nobody had him being the one to do it.
I do like that Shawn Michaels is number 4 because I thought that was one of the best executed heel turns ever.
Oh yeah, that should definitely be up there.
Yeah, definitely there. Jimmy turning on Jay was pretty good. I don't mind it being in the top 10 because that was actually really. Oh, that was kind of obvious that was coming. I'll be honest with you, but still executed well. What was the most egregious one for you, Jason, on this list? Most egregious.
I most egregious. I mean, I already spoke my piece. It was Roman being omitted.
Okay. Is anything on the list that's like too low for you? Like too low or too high or?
About the order. Like once you get past the top 5, I'm like, that's the interpretation. But I just think that Roman being omitted was huge. And again, it's the real order it's Roman, Cena, Hogan in whatever order you want to put it in.
Right.
That's my 1, 2, 3. So.
Right. Well, again, as we all acknowledge, this is a promotional tool, and I get it. WWE is what they do, and so I get it. The whole best matches in WrestleMania history thing also they're doing promotional tool as well too. The matches on there in the 40s, they're probably a little higher, and some matches on there that probably shouldn't list at all. But that's just what they want to do. They want to push. So I get it. Yeah. So anyway, fellas, great job tonight. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Because for me, not having Paul Orndorff turning on Hogan, that was one of their biggest feuds ever in the company. Okay. And it's not on the list.
You just realized too also, Andre turning Hogan's not here either.
Yeah, and that was a WrestleMania main event.
That is the catalyst of what we have today, WrestleMania.
And it led to one of the
even I know that one, so that not being on there is kind of weird.
And that led to one of the most repeated clips ever, Hogan slamming Andre, and it's not there at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, they fumbled that ball. So that missing and Roman missing. That's egregious in itself.
And
like, what do we? But we have Tatanka though. We have Tatanka. Fucking Tatanka. What the fuck we're doing, bro? Seriously. Anyway, guys, great job on the show. Jason, anything want to plug?
Just listen to our podcast. You can listen to us on all podcast platforms. We're on Spotify. That's what I listen to us on. You can find us at the Chairshot Radio Network. You can find us on all your podcast platforms. We are the Mindless Wrestling Podcast. You can check us out. Our t-shirts are on prowrestlingtees.com/the Chairshot. You'll find the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, as well as all of your favorite podcasts. I hope I did DJ proud with that one.
Go ahead, Rob.
Well, same. and look, when you get around, when I get around to recording another episode, you can hear me on my own Rob Jr.'s podcast. One day I will record again.
Are we getting it before the summertime?
I mean, look, you blame Spotify for podcasting.
I'm just being a jerk, dude. I'm just being a jerk. I know.
Blame them, okay?
Yeah.
Because I can't talk the way I want to. I can't structure things that I want to structure it because of them.
They fucked your vibe up, brother.
They did.
They fucked your vibe up, brother. And of course, follow me on X at E7 Earnestly Podcast across all podcast catchers. You can follow, of course, Earnestly Podcast as well too on YouTube. It's on page at Earnestly Pod on YouTube. Earnestly Podcast also on TikTok. We'll talk to you guys later. Great job as always. Until the next podcast. Later.